Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen J Lotus, King Sunkiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe, for a royale, technically reality read. And this is also extra special, as it is a first installment of our loud feminine representatives. Okay, I was gonna start this off with Rihanna, but Spirit said we need to wait a couple days. So that's what we're gonna do. So I went on over to the other. Okay, Queen Pisces, yes, God. The other loud feminine being herself, Miss K. Michelle. Born Kimberly Michelle Pates. Yes. Okay. The illustrious, well decorated, if you will, R&B / country songwriter. Okay, should have done a little bit of acting. Okay, most people know her from Love and Hip Hop as well, amongst her music, but also on Love and Hip Hop. And she had her own show, My Life. She had her own show covering plastic surgery, faux pas and such, and helping and counseling people, using that term loosely, supporting people through their recovery processes and all that good shit. And she's now, she was on Marriage Boot Camp too. So many times, and she is now on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Yes! So, real quick, right fast, before we get into the cricks and crannies of all the things, what I mean by our loud feminine queen, okay, aka loud feminine representative. Loud feminine is a queer feminine energy. And what that means is it doesn't have all to do with homosexuality or, all of that. It can, double into that, but it is not, all the eggs ain't in the basket of that. So what is meant by queer feminine? Weird, different, rare. You may even say neurodivergent. Okay? Everyone does not have loud feminine energy. Loud feminine energy is designated to particular types of chosen ones, if you will. Okay? It's a very fiery, again, loud, very responsive energy, very communicative, very much so sun type of energy. So some prominent loud feminine zodiac energies would indeed be the fire signs in general, as well as Aquarius and Pisces. And here we have a Pisces. And again, everybody, so like even all Pisces don't have loud feminine energy. Okay? So like that's what I was gonna say. Everybody don't possess loud feminine energy. And that's okay. That's okay. Everybody has their special purposes in this world. Okay? And we definitely getting into the loud feminine more. I am a loud feminine being. Hello. Some other examples of loud feminine beings, and this is whether you like them or not, would be New York, Tiffany Pollard from Flavor of Love. Would also be Mama D from Love and Hip Hop, Scrappy's mama. Also Jocelyn Hernandez would be another one. Did I say Tamar Braxton? Tamar Braxton would be another one. Rihanna would be another one. Solange Knowles would be another one. Okay. To get into some queer aspects of it, Big Frida would be one. Big Frida would be considered a loud feminine being. Well, I can't think of Pray Tell from Pose. What's his real name? Billy Porter. He would be considered a loud feminine being. If you're familiar with Bondi Blue, she's a loud feminine being. Tasha K, she's a loud feminine being. Erica De Niro would also be considered a loud feminine being. Okay. Scotty by Nature, who's also an Aquarius, would also be considered a loud feminine being. Just a couple of examples out there, okay? Just a few examples to get us started, and it'll also be better, it'll also be more explained and such, and make more sense of as we get throughout the reading. So to just further elaborate before I officially gone into the tanks, key aspects of loud feminine beings, again, like I said, very responsive, but these are people who don't shut up. No matter how much people want them, just shut up, stop responding, stop, doing this and that, stop always, going back and forth with people. Oh, and a lot of times it's the people who people come at them, and then when they respond, they may say or do something that like tops the offense, and people will be like, oh my gosh, that was so much. But okay, but did you see what the fuck they said to me? Loud feminine beings tend to have a lot of experiences of that nature. They tend to deal with a lot of reaction police. These people also are people who have gone through the depths of despair, have gone through a lot, one way or another, and they tell their story. It's a prominent part of their purpose in life is to vocalize their story straight up, no chaser, unapologetically. And it's for the purpose of being like protectors by protecting themselves and doing so loudly. So these are people who are not gonna like do the most to try to save face. Like if you come at them in public, they're gonna come back at you in public. If you bump into them and don't say excuse me, they not gonna be like, hey, you bumped into. They're gonna be like, excuse you. No, that's not right. These are people who speak up, who see something and say something. One way or another, whether anybody likes it or not, they say whatever they feel exactly how it is. And emphasis on how they feel. These are very emotional people, and their emotions, everybody's emotions are highly connected to their intuition, but loud feminine beings specifically, their emotions are also directly prominent with their throat chakra. So like I said, it's highly meant for loud feminine beings to be loud about their stories, their experiences, and how they feel about things. Emphasis on how they feel about things, because loud feminine beings, emotions specifically, their sacral chakra specifically, is connected to a lot of ancient information, wisdom, spirituality, things of that nature. So again, some more unique key aspects of loud feminine beings. These are like youthful grandma type people. That's how their energy comes off, like youthful grandmas, like even from young ages, like appearing youthful, often looking younger than what your age is, but also being very prominently and non-conformingly wise beyond your years. So these people often stay forever young, and also maintain and radiate a very grandma type of energy. One way or another. These people are also creatives. They are what you could call Phyllis, essentially, like Sammy from Sinners, as well as Remick from Sinners, would also be considered a feminine, a Phyllis. So, and again, remember, people, male, female, gay, straight, everybody has masculine and feminine energy. Okay, so yes, you could consider the characters Remick and Sammy as loud feminine beings. And as I say again, everybody does not have loud feminine energy, which is why it's considered queer energy, and particularly queer feminine energy. And this is very supernatural type of energy. Okay, so I feel like that was a real good appetizer. So now let us get to the meat that we've been looking for. Okay, shout out to New York once more. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the specificities of this read. And y'all know, well, if you done been here before, then you already know when I get into it, I start off getting into their higher self information and their lower self information and their wholesome why the fuck I can't think of the word right now, but y'all know what I mean, the bringing it all together. And then I will ask some follow-up questions based on the information that came out from the higher shadow self and all together cards. And then I get to asking, about some like hot topic type questions, some prominent things that has been in the public and all of that may be relevant, that, could help us, in our lives, getting some wisdom from her personal experiences that she's talked about and that have been publicized, and of her energy and who she is as a spiritual being. Okay? Yeah. Now, I ain't gonna waste some more time. I'm gonna go ahead and get right into the cricks and crannies of these cards. All right. So straight out the gate, we get started off with her higher self. I asked the clear demand for spirit to show me her higher self. Kimberly Michelle Pate, K. Michelle's higher self. So this be all of the positives, the optimisms, the high roads of it all, the goods. Yes, and particularly the divine goods. Okay? So we have, and this is a very interesting combo of cards that she got in general, but this is so interesting. So let's address the Sun and Moon Tarot card first. So first card that came out for her higher self is the Five of Swords, and in this deck it is labeled defeat. And in general, the Five of Swords has to do with the inevitability of somebody getting caught for something that they've done, and not just caught but brought down. It is one of the children, if you will, of the Justice card. So what's also special about this card, and I'm gonna definitely do some follow-up shit on it, what's extra special and unique about this card coming out for her as her higher self and the messages that come with it is this has a lot to do with some sort of pathological past life, I don't want to say curse. When I said that, I started hearing a bitch like me, yeah, I know my word, fucking with me is a gift and a curse. Gift and curse by Meg Thee Stallion. That's what it is. It's a pathological, generational, multi-lifetime type of gift and a curse. So what Spirit is also saying with this is that she has been chosen, essentially, with being a generational curse breaker, but not even breaking it, but transmuting it into a gift. So it's given that in past lifetimes, be it past lifetimes that she's lived in other lifetimes, realms, and all of that good shit, and or it's a generational pathology in her family of people either doing hella dirt and getting away with it, or people having tons of things that are terrible, dirty, traumatic, betrayals, all of that, violations, things happening to people in her family, and then the perpetrators get away with it. So what I just heard is it stops with her. So that's what it is. Not only does it stop with her, but it transmutes with her. So she's been transmuting hella betrayal energies, hella violating ass energies, hella traumas, and things of that nature. She's been transmuting a lot of it, and that's a huge part of her purpose. And it's very natural. It's something that is just a part of her being. So just her presence will start to transmute the negative energy of people who are trash, and people who are predators, thieves, and rapists, abusers, people like that.
And so the curse aspects also come in, whereas it's given something deep in her bloodline. Live stream. That's something Spirit literally just channeled to me. Life stream. So something deep in her bloodline and her life stream has a lot of oppression. So let me just sum it up in simple terms. So deep off in her life stream, which would be the different lifetimes that she's lived all the way up and through this lifetime, as well as in her bloodline, the family bloodline that she comes from, there has been severe oppression, patriarchal oppression. So this has been a long line of generational pathology of men being extremely abusive and oppressive and defeating to the women in her family specifically. So this is like this has coming up a heavy pathology of incestuous molestation and rape, heavy pathology of physical abuse, and what this is given to is a lot of brutal treatment of the women in her family.
And so, interestingly enough, and this is going to be very important to remember when I get into some follow-up questions and like relevancy, like quote unquote hot topic type questions. But this is given that it hasn't been a whole lot of mental and emotional abuse or oppression from men in her family and throughout the bloodlines of her family and such that nature. It's giving that it's been very brutal. So a lot of the abuse from the men towards the women has been very straight up, has been very shut up, bitch, like deck you straight in your fucking face type shit. Very Tyler Perry, bald head, dark skinned man energy. and then some type shit. Very Bo Willie from the For Colored Girls movie. Very much so that type of energy. Who child? Yes. Has to reflexively take a deep breath when I say that. So this is a lot of nervous system wrecking type of experiences, pathologies, energies, activity, all that shit, which is heavily important to note, being the fact that when we're talking about loud feminine energy, and a lot of singers in particular have loud feminine energy, and specifically that ties into them having a supernatural, super powerful nervous system, that they have the natural ability to transmute a disruptive nervous system into a very powerful singing voice, let alone putting their stories and their words and those sensations into their music, into their lyrics, into the energy transfers that they give off when they do so. So whereas for most people, and as like a part of human nature, a disturbed nervous system usually stifles the throat chakra, usually silences and stagnates and chokes out the throat chakra. But in the loud feminine case,
Loud feminine case has the supernatural ability to transmute a disrupted nervous system into powerhouse storytelling, energy transfers, singing, vocalizing, verbalizing, all of that. And when they do so, it heals. It heals people, animals, the frequencies of the world. It heals the universe. It multidimensionally heals. And on the other end, which taps back into that multidimensionality of the blessing and the curse aspect, right? So the blessing that she is a curse for predators, abusers, and people who are gaslighters as a lifestyle. So as her voice and her presence and her purpose heals, it also disrupts and disturbs and causes chaos for people who are predators and abusers, evil and shit, and or people who are committed to serving people and beings and entities that are evil, predatorial, violating, all of that of the spectrum. Very, very interesting. Tisk. I was not expecting any of this. But that's what it's giving, honey, and it makes a hell of a lot of sense. Also got to acknowledge that number 5 there, which is the number of balance as well as the number of drastic change. It's also a number of wholeness. Tisk. So what also comes up here is, though, some challenges concerning misandry, which is the hatred of men. So that's a challenge, and it's a part of the generational curse / gift because it's meant to. So there's a key purpose here where K. Michelle has to, it's her purpose. It's part of her purpose to both learn and be the lesson that for we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with the principalities of good and evil. So for K. Michelle to thoroughly not only fulfill her purpose, but also evolve her purpose and raise her good karma in this lifetime and throughout the next lifetimes and generations and all of that, she herself has had and has to learn not to demonize all men. Not to demonize all men, not to have this lifestyle of a disdain towards men in general, because that would end up blocking her from recognizing, one, good men that do exist, and especially being the fact that she has a son. Keep that in mind. And along with the fact that it may also be parts of her purpose to not relate to certain women to a fault, and or certain feminine beings to a fault. Because remember what was said about disturbance. So this is the type of person also, and loud feminine beings in general tend to attract a lot of gaslighters, people who are gaslighters, like I said, as a lifestyle. They can't help themselves but to gaslight people, especially very powerful people. Very powerful, strong, creative, intuitive people, let alone loud vocal. So, and this is also for the purpose of not halo affecting herself to the point of becoming what she despises. Because a huge part of it, again, keep all of this in mind. Remember the messages about a lot of the abuse and oppression and those pathologies being brutal. So this is gearing towards another purpose, and K. Michelle having to learn more about the depths of mental, emotional, psychological, and spiritual abuse. And I'm gonna leave that at that and go on over to the next card, which is the Hierophant. And this is really in a way already been communicated. Let me just get to the point. So the Hierophant came out for her multiple times in different ways as I was prepping for the video. So that is like so cool to me. Because it gives that she's thoroughly in that energy. And this matches what I was saying about key qualities of a loud feminine, having youthful grandparent type of vibe and way about themselves and functionality. So her getting the Hierophant card as her higher self, thorough alignment, thorough alignment. So it gives, she is a natural mentor, a natural mother, a natural maternal figure, even like a grandma figure. She's a natural elder. She has very elder wisdom type energy. And so it's a high key part of her purpose to be like a mother, a mentor, a guide, an elder. It's another word for it. An elder. Gosh, I cannot think of the word, but the word for it is hierophant. But there's another more commonly used word that I cannot. The oracle. Shit. She's meant to be an elder oracle type of spiritual teacher to her fans, to the people who truly look up to her, to the people that observe her, and to the people that are a part of her soul family, be it near or far. She is an elder oracle. And key word, I stopped using the term meant to be, because it's given, that's what she is. And that's what she's always been from the time she popped out of mama. She immediately stepped into that energy and that role. Her spirit is very old. Is also how this is coming up. Her spirit is extremely old, yet so extremely youthful at the same time. So she knows a hell of a lot, and then it's always something more for her to learn all at the same time. And she loves that about herself. That's what just came up, that she loves that aspect about herself, because her embracing that allows her to keep her life exciting, and it allows her to meet and connect with a variety of different people in different walks of life and such. And that also goes back, something is really trying to stop this damn message, and it's about to piss me the entire fuck off. Like, for real, let me just acknowledge it real quick, because you know how motherfucking spiritual hygiene work and shit like that. Let me acknowledge it real quick. The whole fucking time that I've been trying to record this video, it's been just constant interference and interference and interference, one way or a goddamn another. And let me tell you something, you interfering ass bitch ass spirit. You don't want none of me, ho. You don't want none of me and mine, so you better stand the fuck down. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Rashida got bags. Her husband's a girl. I did not come to play with you, ho. Okay? Out, damn spot. I say, shalom, Ashrei. Oh, there y'all, but call it be. Hallelujah. Okay, so bingo, boom, pow, pow, ta-dow. Boom, tick-tock, goddamn. Now, see, y'all just got to see me use another dimension of my loud feminine energy. All right? Thorough alignment around this bitch. Now, as I was saying, her having such an old, youthful spirit is also in correlation with her evolving out of brutal, abusive cycles, and then having to learn more about emotional abuse and emotional manipulation, mental and spiritual abuse. So yeah, in a nutshell, K. Michelle's higher self is meant to be a thorough, justice-evoking hierophant at this bitch, a very elder powerhouse oracle. What also needed to be noted, defeatist mentality. That's a part of the curse that was bestowed upon her bloodline and her life stream. So that's a part of one of the frequencies, one of the main frequencies that she's had the purpose of transmuting. Defeatist mentality into conquering functionality, into triumph functionality, and being a key example that your experiences, your negative experiences especially, do not have to become your personality, do not have to become your identity, do not have to formulate itself as an everlasting dark cloud over your life. And I think it's a perfect time to segue on into the shadow self. Okay, for the shadow self. And this is real cool. This is real fucking cool. And it really like exhilarating, exciting ass energy. So I don't know her birth chart, but something is just channeling through that K. Michelle may have a very strong Leo and or Sagittarius placement, because there's a divine demon on her spirit team. Yes, a divine demon on her spirit team that, and I can like literally see it in a way. It's just flipping around like very happily, laughing like Woody Woodpecker on some shit. So, in case you don't know, a divine demon is a demon that has basically switch sides. I cannot remember the character name on Mortal Kombat, but she basically looks like a female version of Raiden. I think her name is Ashra, because it's very reminiscent of the goddess Ashera. And they do have similar characteristics also. I believe her name is Ashra. And she is a demon on a journey to evolve herself as a goddess for good, for the sake of good faith, all of that good shit. So that's essentially, I'm hearing this entity is a part of her Lilith energy. So the Leo or Sag placement could be her Lilith, and or her Chiron placement. That's how it's coming up. But yes, she has a divine demon on her spirit team that is very high rank and don't play nan type of game, but they play all fucking day. It's so fucking funny, right? Okay, so let's get into the cause of it all, and we'll elaborate going further. So K. Michelle's shadow self, which is not innately her evil self, okay, can get evil, but it's not like her evil side or whatever. It's just her dark side, her Lilith energy, if you will. But Lilith is not only, child, your shadow, your dark side is not only your Lilith energy. It's a collective spectrum of some shit going on there. But just a lot of things that are taboo, mysterious, defensive, fiery, and fucking, or chaotic. Or maybe unpleasant, maybe pleasantly unpleasant, maybe for yourself, maybe for other people, maybe it's a time and a place for everything. So in K. Michelle's shadow self, she has the Strength card in reverse and the Chariot upright. So her shadow self is very competitive from like an insecure place. So there's a part of herself that has the challenge of going from, and it's interesting how a part of this has been coming up in my different readings, but she has a specific divine purpose of a challenge. And so this is a part of raising her rank in the divine realm also. So okay, so going from using so much negativity as a catalyst for creativity and motivation and manifestation to doing it from a place of pure unconditional love. There's an aspect, and this is like piggybacking off of some of those Five of Swords messages that we're talking about, defeatist mentality. So a way that K. Michelle has combated her defeatist mentality has been to use it as a catalyst to, what I'm hearing is, check off boxes. So these are things that she's supposed to be doing and that she's passionate about and that she wants to do. However, there's been this habitual survival mechanism of transmuting the negativity, attempting to transmute the negativity by using it as bouncing grounds, and in certain ways using it as roots to rise up. And so her shadow self is, her shadow self is, and to a degree will constantly be in a state of mindfully making the decision to love herself and show herself appreciation no matter what's going on, no matter who's saying what, because she attracts crowds, whether it's for good or bad. And it's always people attacking her solar plexus and trying to put stuff in her head and tell her how and what to think, feel, and say. And that's what it is, because they want to control how she thinks and feels so that they can control what she says, because they know that they cannot shut her up. So they do a lot to play on her mindset and her emotions. And this is heavily tapped into those messages that we're talking about, making sure she doesn't halo effect herself into becoming what she despises, amongst that she doesn't get caught up in a hate and or mistrust and disdain for men, so much so that she ends up blinding herself to the spectrum of different types of people that can be flawed, and let alone the spectrum of abuse. So in like referencing what Spirit was saying about the lot of brutality that she's experienced in her life, and that is the pathology of her bloodline and her life stream, it blinds her to recognizing mental and emotional abuse, and particularly when she has been mentally and emotionally and even spiritually and creatively abused. Because she's been deprived of a lot of soft and tenderness and love and care and all of that, and on the back end and front end and side end and all of that has been so much brutality, it makes it very easy for her to romanticize when she's being emotionally and mentally or spiritually and creatively abused, because it feels like tenderness, it feels like softness, it feels like delicateness, it feels like romance, even though it's abuse. So this is a huge cross to bear for her, because also with like there haven't been so many brutal attacks and like gangbangery type of attacks on her sacral and her solar plexus, which is her emotional space, her creative space, sexual space, and her space of confidence, and is also where particularly the emotion of anger radiates and things of that nature. There's been so many brutal attacks in those areas for her that that it attracts more predators that recognize the negative effects it has on her that she is blinded to. They smell it like blood, and they hover around her, and they smile in her face, and they pour into her, they big her head up, and they tell her how much they love her, how much they love her art. They tell her how pretty she is and how great she is. They just really fill her head up with a lot of confidence, with a lot of compliments that are true, but they are misusing it. They know that love bombing her with all of this adornment will essentially distract and blind her from seeing that they are not good people, let alone they're also sizing her up to bite her and or eat her one way or another. So they're like a big bad wolf, like, oh my gosh, what big, nice, juicy legs you have. They're so pretty. Oh my gosh, you are just, oh, you just look delicious. And all she hears is the compliment and the load of compliments that she knows is true about herself and that she's been deprived of also, and just been longing so long for someone to acknowledge it, that she doesn't realize they're listing off all of the things that are appetizing to them about her. They're saying, ooh, such big juicy legs, I'm about to put some hot sauce on them and eat your ass the fuck up. And not in a good sexual way, but I'm sure, because I can feel the energy, so I'm sure y'all can feel the energy of how that double entendre type thing can happen, right? And I'm speaking also in a sexual sense. That it's easy, especially, you know, if someone you're attracted to is talking to you in that way. Ooh, big leg girl, walk my way. Big leg girl, what I say? It's very easy to be like, ooh, yeah, they trying to dip it and do it. What's good? They trying to dip you in some barbecue sauce and eat your ass up. And not in the romantic, sexy way. In the parasitic way. In the big bad wolf way. They're seasoning you up and fattening you up to eat you. That's what that's giving. And you know what's interesting? It just occurred to me that as I'm saying this, I didn't even realize or recollect that the strength card in most decks and traditionally has a lion on it. This card from this deck has a wolf on it. So yeah. So in simple terms on that, K. Michelle's shadow self has a, let me say, but like this, K. Michelle's shadow self is a toxic vanity, but it's like Chiron energy. It's not her being evil like Devil Wears Prada type shit. It's her operating in a frequency of lack and deprivation for tenderness and delicate. Like, she really wants to be adorned. She really wants to be admired and recognized for all of the things that are good and precious and valuable about her. Oh my gosh, it's making me misty-eyed. and she wants it so bad that she gets lost in the sauce of the deprivation that she has experienced with those things, that it just makes it very easy for her to get lost in the sauce of vanity when people are filling her head up with shit, compliments and all of this stuff. And I say it like that because that's their intent. Their intent is to fatten her up, to eat her, and or to distract her from protecting certain people that need and deserve protection, because they know if she knows what they're doing, like if they're hurting people and they're preying on people one way or another, if they're an abuser, and they know that she will talk, and their forte of victims is people who won't speak up, and people who can't speak up, the people who have more soft type energy, people who are more non-confrontational. They won't want her as a victim, because she gonna fight back. She gonna speak up. Okay, it's a type of abuser for every personality type. Right? So all that to say is, I was saying, if they're the type of abuser that preys on the non-confrontational, the more quiet, those who are more likely not to speak up, they will distract K. Michelle with compliments, with love bombing, because they see that that's a weak spot. She feels deprived of that. So they'll fill her up with that to distract her from seeing the abuse that they're carrying on, maybe even right in front of her face. Because they know that if she sees it, if she knows it, she is going to act on the behalf of the people who are being victimized. And that's some strong ass shit. Not only are there these abusers that prey on her with mental and emotional and psychological, all that type of abuse, because they recognize she's the type to fight back, but they also recognize that she's the type to fight for others. That is something so hella important to recognize and take note of, as it concerns her, but also as it concerns yourself, ourselves, and certain other people in the world, and just things that be going on, So, getting on into the Chariot. So, this Chariot card, in simple terms here, like, she knows when to leave. She knows when to hold them, when to fold them, know when to walk away, when to run. Just as much as she knows how to run her mouth, she knows how to play poker, play chess type shit. No dummy. What are they? Bottle bleach blonde, but I'm no dummy. That's the song that just channeled through on there. That is so funny. So the thing about this is, and why it's a shadow trait, is definitely for the fact of protection, but also the cross to bear is her gaining a sense of settling down, her gaining a sense of feeling safe, finding somewhere that she can genuinely feel safe, at peace, at home, and unmoved, unbothered, somewhere where she can just rest and just be. So it's meant, this time's coming up, that, and this is something her divine partner specifically, and I'm getting also like her kid, or any kids that she may have, this is something that she will have to constantly learn how to communicate to people, and only like really fool with people and invest in people who will properly commit to understanding her and how she communicates and how she functions. So all of this to say, and it's very interesting because Pisces is the sister sign to Virgo. And a lot of times Virgos don't be wanting to, like, even if they do want to get married in real life, they don't be wanting to live with their partner. They be wanting to stay in separate houses or sleep in separate rooms type shit. And that's really what Virgin energy is. Virgin energy is being like totally autonomous and independent, having your own like keen and strong sense of individuality. So we be literally two wholes that come together and be a whole great ass thing. And so on the other end of this, where it's giving her Pisces energy, it's that two fish swimming in different directions together. Swimming together but in different directions. So, and it is also like on a frequency of Virgin energy, the way that it's coming up for her. It's meant for her to have a home that is just hers. Like, even if she's married in a relationship or whatever, it's meant for her to have a solo home of her own to retreat to whenever she feels the need to. It's meant for her to have a family home and then have her own lair somewhere that don't nobody know about but her, and she just go there and she just be and she just rest. Because it's also meant for her to do a lot of traveling as well, with her family and her loved ones, as well as by herself. Very, 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 very interesting. And so a lot of this comes together, and it gets back to a main purpose of that divine demon that is on her spirit team, because she's essentially like an introverted extrovert, and it's meant for her, like, it's inevitable that she will always attract and be amongst a plethora of variation of different crowds of people. So this divine demon it's so much, it's crazy how much Mortal Kombat is being brought up. It's a character, I can't remember their names right now, but it's a fighting duo team on Mortal Kombat, and it's a big old monstrous type dude, and then he got a little dude that sit on his shoulder, and he jump down whenever it's needed and just start whooping ass. K. Michelle is the big monstrous type character, if you will, and her divine demon is that little man thing, that little itty bitty man thing that jumps down and just be whooping ass whenever it's the time and the place to. So that divine demon rides at dawn, noon, early evening, whenever it's necessary. Even if she sleep and somebody talking shit, that divine demon is on their ass. That divine demon is on their ass. She might not ever know Nathaniel about what somebody's intent was for her or none of that shit. If they, goddamn it, even one thought of a false move, that divine demon is on their ass. Talk about no weapon formed against you shall prosper, baby. Any weapon even thought to be formed against her is dissolved in its conception, and asses are whipped and names are taken. Okay, and it's giving it be like even a thought to cross her, let alone you get past to actually cross and attack her or anything like that. You done brought dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor on the next several generations of your fucking family. Like, dead ass. That's how this shit is coming up. That's how this shit is coming up. Talking about riding on her ops, and that's not a coincidence, because look at the imagery of the card. The imagery of the card is representation of that divine demon, which is giving it's a feminine being, and it got red hair, like how K. Michelle's signature red hair. Hey, I can't make this shit up. So yeah, you can take that imagery there in that chariot card as representation of her divine demon that rides on her ops, and you see them riding, hands in the air, having a good old time, fucking up the folks for the good of God's children. So it's about, like, you know, because when you talk about like a demon going to work for the most high divine gods and goddesses, that's like taking a shooter, a hitter that used to be top-notch gangbanger, and then you put him on the side of good. Like, a civil war is going on for the greater good of humanity. Now this hitter done rose the fuck up and is out here Django on that ass. Okay. I like that. I told you something was real exhilarated and exciting about this section in particular. And I am hearing that one of her main goddesses on her spirit team is allegedly, but this is how it's channeling through, Sekhmet. It's given that Sekhmet is a part of her spirit team and a prominent part of her spirit team, which would make total sense, because that divine, again, according to the imagery and how it correlates with the messages for this reading, looking back at the imagery of the card on a chariot, that divine demon is riding on a sphinx. Sekhmet is a lion goddess. She's half lion, half humanoid woman. A sphinx is half human, half lion, or, you know, human head, lion body. Also, like I said, the strength card traditionally has a lion on it. It's a Leo card. Leo the lion. Hey now, which makes sense.
Which makes total sense, honey. And at this point, honey, Sekhmet don't play. Okay, I done talked about Sekhmet before, of course. I'm a Leo. But for right now, y'all gonna have to go fishing, baby. If you don't know, you gonna have to go fishing, baby. Cause y'all done already heard the description of the messages from the cards and all of that. Along with, like I just said, Sekhmet don't play. So that's simply stated. What's understood don't have to be explained at that point. Tony. So, in a nutshell, K Michelle's shadow self is fuck around and find out presence one way or another. Even if she's in a state of being distracted or disarmed or anything of that nature, or she's feeling insecure and this and that, she cannot lose. Her shadow self is divinely demonic, or demonically divine. It's the perfect combination of divine and demon. So it's given even her demons are divine, even her demons are angels. And a key thing about this, which is definitely gonna be elaborated on in the sum up, but it's coming up, it's channeling already right now. I just already know what the next cards are, and I'm already perceiving how it correlates. But inevitably, whoever she comes across, if it's meant for them to get recognition, just dues, compliments, blessings that have been blocked from them, protection and things of that nature, in good faith, like if they have good karma that perhaps they've been blocked from, K Michelle's presence alone sets the universe in order for them as well, for them to start getting their guts and getting the good things that they deserve. And also, if you're a trash bag ass person and you willfully and habitually been sitting up building up bad karma for yourself, her presence will inevitably start to shed light on that as well. Helps to set the universe in action and in alignment for those people to start getting their just dues as well, for them to start getting the recognition for the bullshit that they've been keeping up, for them to start getting recognition and looked at and called out and dealt with and handled for all the fucking chaos and abuse and oppression that they've been spewing and facilitating. And it's whether she calls it out or not. She don't even have to interact. She don't even have to interact with you for her presence to set off multidimensional universal motion of karma. Disc. Okay, and this is the most peculiar, like, multidimensional sum up of a person that I have ever done and seen. And the imagery, for one, highly depicts a person minding their business, just sitting, minding their business, doing their little thing. And then things and people and fuck shit just come out of nowhere, being chaotic and icky. Yeah. So, officially stating, this summer is the multi-dimensional, dual, whole, thorough, divinely designed being, identity, spirit of Miss Kimberly Michelle. And what's so special about this for the loud feminine beings, I do more cards. I usually do less cards for the intro. I did more cards for this. Anyway, so the three cards we have here are the Four Cups, the Five of Wands, and the Five of Cups. And them fives is all up and through, honey. Not a coincidence. So the angel number that we would essentially have there as well is 455. 4 is a number of manifestations, and love is also a number of music. Like I said, 5 is a number of drastic change, wholeness, and balance. 5 and 5 make 10. This is a number of celebration, a number of soul family coming together, abundance, new beginnings, and major divine support. Hey now, you put 10 and 4 together, you get 14. You put 1 and 4 together, you get 5. Okay? 14 is a number of fearlessness. It's a number of choosing faith over fear. Living by faith and not by sight. Which channels Monica's song, Still Standing. And what's so sweet and interesting and also unexpected about the message that's channeling through before I even get into like the specificities of the cards is this whole layout is spirit communicating that she is innocent. Like in general, her spirit is innocent. It's so seasoned, it's so elder, but also so pure, so innocent. Which is that's so juxtaposed to what a lot of people would want you to think about her, let alone think about her. And this is going towards a lot of what spirit has been communicating as it concerns the attacks on her solar plexus and people trying to control how she thinks and feels. And it has a lot to do with also how she thinks and feels about herself, because these are a lot of people that are carrying guilt for things that they've done to tons of people, and especially her. And this is also why what spirit is saying, when you cross her, you cross yourself. When you hurt her, you hurt yourself. Going back to those messages where I was like, dishonor on you. If you cross her, you even think about crossing her type shit, that brings you generational on generations of karma. like you, your cow, your kids, everything, everybody going down. Pew, pew, everybody going down. Everything you even think about gonna fail. Like for real. Because she is innocent. Her spirit is innocent. And I just heard her spirit has been burnt at the stake unjustly throughout several lifetimes. And in this lifetime, that shit, it ends here. Remember that message came up before. It ends here. It ends in this lifetime. I just heard too, like by 2027, huge major tides are going to elevate and turn for her in her favor. Like it's going to be so many people type shit, even people who were once 10 toes down, heels dug in about hating her and disliking her and being against her. Something is going to like snap in their brain or in their spirit or something. They'll be like, oh my gosh, what the fuck was I thinking? How could I have not ever, like, what was I, why was I hating on her? Why was I disliking her? Why was I even attacking her? Like, what? That's so fucking crazy, but very enlightening and adorning. I love to hear that. To be honest, that is honestly like super duper beautiful. That is super duper fucking beautiful. And this is also, of course, not to say that K. Michelle is not flawed or that she ain't ever done nothing wrong. Spirit is saying, and I literally just saw 11122 as I said that. Major confirmation. Spirit is saying that, again, a message, even her demons are divine. Even her demons are angels. Even when she has done things wrong or been flawed or, you know, whatever, what have you, it was coming from a pure place. It may not have came out pure, but it was coming from a pure place. Her intent, her purpose in doing so or saying whatever it was, is totally pure. It's from a place of love and good intent. She literally wishes no bad on anyone or anything. That's what is meant by her soul, her spirit, her being, her essence is pure. It's innocent. She is innocent. And that's also why when people cross her, when people come for her and attack her, especially just out of nowhere and for no good fucking reason when she's minding her damn business, that's why it be so much dishonor on you. That's why they end up with such terrible karma for themselves and on down their generations and bloodlines and shit. Because essentially, God knows, one, why she was chosen and why she's here and what she's doing. So for you to get in the way of her purpose in any way, shape, or form, God takes that shit very personally. So that's also important to note. If you know anyone that may remind you of K. Michelle in such a way, you might want to be very careful about how you treat them and even how you think about them. So now getting into the cricks and crannies of the cards. Starting off with the 4 Cups. So y'all, this is literally like, she literally just be minding her business, focused on her purpose, focused on her creativity, focused on her peace, focused on, you know, what she want to do, what she want to eat, you know, what type of happiness and shit she want to bring into her life and put out into the world. Like, she really just be focused on loving and manifesting things, accumulating things for herself and for the greater good, as well as, you know, to share with people who are, you know, like-minded and like-spirited to her, people that she loves. It's a very dual, she puts a lot of genuine, pure energy and intent in what she does for herself is not just for herself. It's always thinking about who she can share it with and who she's meant to share it with. So that's also in general, not just a man, but as a man, a husband, her kid or kids, should she have any more friends, with family members, people that she ends up meeting that may become family members, people who are supporters of her, even strangers that touch her heart in such a way. She premeditates those things. She pre-intends for those things, and it's given that also like she's always been that way. She anticipates that in her travels and living in life, that there will be really majestic, cool people that she vibe with, that I'm hearing give her an energetic, soulful blessing that makes her, not makes her, but basically confirms to her, okay, let me dip into this fun right here that I got to also reciprocate the blessing that they've been to me, even if just for a couple of seconds. And it's not always money. Sometimes it's time spent, excursions, or things of that nature, which is very important to keep in mind. Because that just made me think about something else specific. Okay? So yeah, she's a very super powerful, supernatural manifester. And what the Four of Cups is also giving is that's also why it's so much a part of her purpose that she be seen by crowds of people. And that she mingle amongst crowds of people, because it's meant for her energy to touch people, for her presence and such to touch people one way or another, be it to heal them, to inspire and or evoke healing for themselves and or situations and frequencies even in the world. And so that's also why it's highly important that she have good people that are a part of her intimate village, divinely designed people that are a part of her intimate village amongst. Look at the imagery of the card and think about those messages that came up about it being meant for her to have an exclusive solo bunker retreat home to and just for herself. That's also why, because spiritual hygiene is that much more important for her. Ooh, child. And the Five of Wands and the Five of Cups. Also, it's a wonder she didn't get the Five of Coins too, honey. But child, the Five of Cups and the Five of Vibes, which is also the Five of Wands, they're indicating, the parts that pollute her energy as such. Which is basically, ooh, damn, I was gonna say they're totally different, but Spirit said this is not her realm. So that's also why, that's a part of why her soul is so pure and so innocent, and why it attracts so many pests, and why her flaws, a lot of people not gonna want to hear or accept this, but this is how it's coming up. Even her flaws are to be understood as not her fault. It's like literally, and you know something? People do get mad as fuck that in every situation that we know of, that we've seen on TV or that you bring up, it was literally her responding. Like she said something crazy or fucked up or whatever, and people try to be like, oh my gosh, but you went so far, and da, da, da. It's always literally her responding. And so that goes back to those messages where Spirit was like, even in times where she may have overkilled in her response or done some bad things and this and that, she was pushed to do it. And there are people that will inevitably be pissed off about that, because they want her to be and feel guilty. They want her to live her life in guilt, because they know that guilt is a sinking sand frequency. Nobody thrives in the frequency of guilt. So that's why it's always so many people and entities flocking to her like flies on shit, because they're constantly trying to taint her and trying to get her to fuck up her karma and to taint her own spirit, constantly trying to get her to self-destruct. And I just heard Spirit say, but that can't be done. So people will always be mad as a motherfucker that she exists, let alone that she is loud
and she gonna talk, and she can't be shut up. She can't be beat. She can't be stopped. She can't be killed. The only entity that can take her out is the Most High. And as long as she stays on the side, which is given, that's what it's always been, and ain't shit changed it at this point. So I don't see what the fuck would change it. I mean, you know, everybody's different and everything or something, but I'm just telling y'all how the messages is coming up. This is a soul that is unconditionally pure. It can't be tainted. It's inevitably flawed because it's here in its human form, having this human experience in this earth realm. So it's inevitably tainted because there will always be humans and spirits and other dark, tainted, corrupted entities that will always be gunning for her. And they know they can't stop her themselves, so they try to get her to stop herself. They try to get her to imprison herself to the frequency of guilt so that she sinks in that sand. Baby, that's some shit. That is some shit. Honey, I don't even know what to say after that. That was some shit. I start channeling off of the cards as soon as they come out. But a lot of the time, the thorough visions and channelings and such don't come all the way out until I start vocalizing. So I am real life shocked in a nigga named Paul at the contents of this reading. And I'm inspired, bitch. And ciao. So I'm gonna let this be what it is, because I highly feel like it truly this needs to be its own part, like a motherfucker. Yeah, especially with the purity elements of it all. This deserves to be its own part, and I'm gonna do a separate part to get into the hot topic questions, and we'll go from there. Yes, I love this. Hey, now shout out to God, okay? And with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this counter and I am thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quotas for the next time. And be sure to bless that comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways like love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.